Alright guys, we're back with another video with the Hyundai Genesis. I've actually been asked a couple times now what all is on the car, how much the parts cost. So I actually made a list. I know. Ooh, little memo paper here. But so I'm gonna run through the list real quick. Now keep in mind all this stuff that's on the car I put on myself. So if you go and get it and take the stuff to a shop, obviously it's gonna cost more. But this is pretty much everything that I've bought for the car over the last 2 years of owning it, and installed on the car and changed. Now this isn't including oil changes or stuff like that. The only thing that I did add into it was the spark plugs, which I'll get to that in a second when I show you the manifold area, and the wheels and the tires, mainly because that was the initial one. I already went through 2 sets of back tires, but that's my own fault, not because of the actual tires themselves. Alright, so the first ones we're going to jump into are the R1 Concept slotted and drilled rotors. So they're obviously slotted and drilled rotors, and I have the blue ceramic pads with those. Those ran me $310. I'm pretty sure I got those on like Black Friday or something, but they ran me $310. Next, go underneath the hood. So I'll try to move through all this stuff pretty quick. If you guys have any comments, go ahead and drop them down in the comment section, and I'll tell you what's going on with everything. So we have the HPS silicone hose kit. So all the red hoses, so the upper, lower, the radiator hoses, and then some small other ones, and then including the ones in the back, the actual like heater core radiator hoses. They're all silicone hoses, all red. I mean, you can get them in black, blue. I just chose red. But yeah, that costs $190. The engine intake, which obviously, if you guys know, the engine intakes, they're not that good. Any short ram intake isn't that good for the 3/8, but I already bought it, so that was $210. The next thing would be the Megan Racing trans mount, which you can't see, but that actually helps out shifting a lot. That was $95. Then I have the P2R Racing manifold, throttle body spacer, which is drilled for a meth port, which eventually I'll go into that, adding meth and everything and boost, but not right now. And obviously, like the typical Genesis guys, running the Genesis badges for the front and rear. A set of them was $40, pretty cheap. The next thing would be the Torque Solutions shifter bushing kit. Now ATQ makes a good kit, but I already got the Torque Solutions one, so I went with it a while. That consists of the 4 arm bushings and then the 1 main bushing. All that together was $90. And then there's some other stuff in here, like the Blocks Racing magnetic drain plug. That was $12, which you can't see. It's up underneath there. And then the CSF Racing radiator, full aluminum radiator. That ran me $340. And then I also, when I first got it, the bumper had some issues with it, and then the back spoiler paint was kind of like faded out. I ended up getting both of those repainted for pretty cheap, I would say. $400 to get the front bumper and the wing repainted. Let's see. So we got the hosing for the dual catch cans. So the hosing for the dual catch cans. At first I ran like a see-through line to try to figure out which bank would be pushing out more oil. The passenger side really doesn't push out much, or driver's side. The passenger side seems to be the culprit with pushing oil out. So, I mean, I am running dual catch cans back there, but the hosing itself came out to $30. I mean, I just got a bunch of it, so just in case I needed extra. Next up, we got the manifold riser from 3.8 Performance, which is there. Supposed to help out with like mid-end torque. That was $280. I got the competition stage 2 clutch kit and lightweight flywheel, and I got a stainless steel clutch line as well, which you can't really see any of that because it's all tucked up underneath there. That ran me $915. We got the Mishimoto oil cooler tucked back in here. That ran $580. That one wasn't cheap. I remember I was waiting for the longest time to get that, but I needed it for the oil gauge and the pressure gauge. And then we'll run into the full street arrow. We'll run into the full street arrow kit, which the full street arrow kit ran me $800. It looks good. It doesn't come with any instructions, so if you need instructions with this, you might be kind of out of luck. Maybe you could contact him and he'll actually send you like a PDF file or something, but I didn't get anything with it. I just kind of went with it and went with how I think it should have looked. Next up would be, let's see. Okay, so the ISR catback. So we have the ISR catback, which you guys know is pretty much a straight through muffler setup. 2.5-inch piping from the secondary cats, collects into a 3-inch pipe, and then runs back and then duals back out to dual staggered tips, I guess you could say, because they're not exactly the same. So we have the anodized blue, you know, the burnt tip setup. We'll look underneath here. You see how it wides back out. Single pipe, runs into that resonator. It has a high flow resonator on it when you first buy it. I switched it out for a chambered one to kind of give it like a little bit of a deeper and like mellow tone, but you know, that's all up to you guys. Some guys like it wide open. Let's see, and that ran me $770 for that. And then once I did all that, so well, here I'll switch back real quick. So then we have the catch cans. So the catch cans together, both of them ran me $75. So $75 for both catch cans. The bracket is basically just an L bracket. It's not too bad. I need to take it back off and repaint. I need to take it off and paint it so it doesn't look so like bunk back there. But when you install the manifold riser, this is when I was talking about the spark plugs. I went ahead and changed the spark plugs because once you have that upper manifold off, you can access both banks, so you might as well while you're already in there. And if you're in there that deep, you might as well clean the valves while you're at it, which is what I did as well. But the spark plugs alone cost me $90. So for all 6 plugs, it was $90. Let's see. I added this in there, but this wasn't really me adding it or the car's fault exactly, but the previous owner, I guess, drilled into the top of the assembly and installed an LED bulb in there, like I guess for strobe or whatever. And he took it out and I guess he tried to like RTV seal it back shut and never fully sealed it. So I went ahead and tried to seal it up a little bit better, but during that time I was trying to figure out the headlight kept condensating and I could never figure out why. I thought it was maybe because I was spraying the engine bay down, cleaning it out, but it ended up being, it was slowly leaking water in, and water was falling down and destroying the OEM HID ballasts. So it took me 2 HID ballasts before I realized what it actually was. But for both HID ballasts, I just got used ones off eBay. They were $150 for both. And then once I got that fixed and I knew it was fixed, I switched out the stock D1S HID bulbs for the DDM tuning HIDs, which are 5500K. I mean, even though the headlights are tinted, it's still pretty bright. Because I think like the stock lumens on the factory light are like 4300K, so I went up to 5500K. It's a nice bright white. And then for the tint, so I get this one asked really a lot, especially on Instagram. So for the headlight tint, fog light tint, the turn signal tints, and the tint all around the car. So the headlight tint, the front end of it was $140. So $140 for those two and the turn signals. For the tint for the car itself was $180. Let's see. So that's pretty much all we got under here. So next up would be the test pipes, which I've recently just put on this year. So I don't know if you'll be able to see them, but right back in here, you can't really see them, it's not really bright enough, but back in there the OBX resonated test pipes. Those ran me $160. That's off of a eBay site as well. Fitment was great on them. They're drilled or they're threaded for O2 bungs. So if you do want to run an air fuel gauge and you don't want to tap into your downpipes, that would be your solution. All right, so we got all that down. Next up, we will move into the inside real quick, and I'll get to the last ones. So on the inside here, obviously, it all looks pretty stock. I mean, we got the stock shifter assembly. I didn't change out the shift knob because I kind of like it. You know, this is a 3.8 track, so I have navigation, you know, the heated seats, all the cool stuff, LSD. But so we'll turn it on real quick. So as you can see, so I have all these are the Pro Sport gauges: Pro Sport Evo, Pro Sport Evolution, 52mm gauges. So we have the wideband air fuel gauge, the oil pressure gauge, and the oil temp gauge. So obviously you can see them, all LEDs. They're super cool. They can switch back from red to blue. I have them set to blue to kind of match the factory, you know, the whole factory lighting thing. So for the oil gauge itself was, or the oil pressure gauge I should say, the oil pressure gauge was $90. The oil temp gauge was the cheapest one, which is the last one. That one was only $65. And then we have the air fuel gauge, which was $180. So $180 for the air fuel gauge. But besides that, you know, it's pretty nice. I mean, it's nice to monitor the actual oil pressure, oil temps, even though the factory has an oil temp section. Because I get asked this a lot. A lot of guys are like, oh, I've never seen that before. I don't see other stock Genesis guys with that. And it's like, well, it's because it's not supposed to be like that. The stock gauges look way different than this. But you just basically take the pod, you take the whole gauge system out. You pop this whole panel off, pull the gauges out, pull the factory gauges out, and you just use a Dremel and slowly Dremel out around it. But you have to be careful because Dremels, they tear stuff up. And obviously if you're moving into plastic, high heat, it'll end up melting the plastic. So you'll end up melting more away than you want, and they probably will mess up. Then we have, it's kind of worked out good, we have the Spec-D tail lights. So the Spec-D tail lights, I actually kind of like them, but I kind of miss the stock ones as well. I mean, you can see they look super awesome. So the Spec-D tail lights, they ran me $420, even though you can get them cheaper now. But they ran me $420 for them. They're sequential. They're the jet black housings with the red reflectors and clear lens. And then last thing on the list is the wheel and tire setup. So the wheel and tire setup's pretty simple. They're just ESR SR01s, 19 by 9.5 up front plus 22 offset, 19 by 10.5 in the back with the 22 offset. So just the rims themselves, or the wheels themselves, that setup was $990 for that. So $990 for just the four wheel or rims. Then when you get them, you might as well just get the hub rings, because the hub rings, you know, you want to make sure it's centered. So the hub rings were $30 for the set. I got OEM TPMS sensors, so I didn't throw any tire light codes. For all four tire pressure monitoring system gauges was $170. I got the Achilles ATR Sport 2s, which they're not like, you know, a crazy good tire, but they're pretty decent. They're decent enough. I'm running 275 35 19s in the back and 245 35 19s in the front. For the whole set of those came out to $430. And then after you do that, let it go ahead and go and get alignment. Alignment will help you out big time, because it's going to throw the geometry way off if you jump sizes like that with rims. So it was $106 for the alignment. Now with all this stuff done in the car, and it's only been 2 years, I have spent a total of a little over $8,500. And that's not even including buying the car. So obviously I've been spending a lot of money on this car. I mean, it's my fault. I mean, obviously I want to change it, modify it, but that's how much it costs to do all this stuff so far. And I'm still not even done. But so there's that. Now I factored that price in when I was doing these prices. or pricing everything, because I have all the receipts for everything. I didn't add in the Godspeed Traction S springs, which are in there. Those were like $210. So really, it's basically about $8,700 is what I spent on this car so far in the last 2 years. Now, like I said, that's me installing the parts. If you have this parts installed by somebody else, that price will skyrocket. Just the clutch alone would make it skyrocket. I mean, I saved myself probably a good $1,000 just installing that clutch myself. So, and then the catback, probably saved myself another $200 off that. The aero kit, I don't even know what they would charge to put that thing on. But that's pretty much it. So if you're good with yourself and you can actually install this stuff, you'll be fine. You'll be spending probably roughly, well, if you don't find it used, if you buy it new, you'll be spending roughly $8,500 for all the stuff I have done on the car. Now, granted, I mean, unless you know somebody with a shop or something like that. I do have more stuff coming for the car, but I'm kind of leaving that out because I'm still waiting for the Subaru as well. But if you guys have any questions whatsoever, go ahead, drop down in the comments section. And if you're not already, subscribe to the channel. What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? We still got tons of videos coming. But besides that, just to kind of give you guys a little update on everything. Thanks for watching the videos, guys. And yeah, stay tuned for the next one.